Hey there guys, CPC Guy here with the review of news in tech and gaming for the week, and we are starting this episode with some free game giveaways that I went into, which was in Epic Game Store. The Borderlands is free specifically. Let me check the name just to make sure I get it right. Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, which is a bundle of several Borderlands games and DLCs. You can get it for free on the Epic Game Store for now and for the next 5 days, so until June the 3rd, 2020. After that, it is expected that the next free game should be Ark Survival Evolved, so if you are interested in that, well, keep an eye on it after June 4. So after this little bonus for those of you that actually watch these videos on the days that they are launched, so you can still grab those games, let's move on to the actual gaming and tech news of the week. And we are starting with tech as per usual, and the information on this first article is not 100% confirmed. It's a bit of a leak that has not really been announced yet by AMD, but it's a rumor that has been gaining more and more steam with more and more sources and a lot of credibility building up. So while you still shouldn't assume that it's 100% accurate, it's pretty sure that it is actually going to happen, that they are going to release these products, even if the specs might actually differ a bit. We're talking about a refresh of their Zen 2 lineup, the current Zen 2 lineup. It's going to be a XT branded refresh, which has the potential to be somewhat confusing when you take into consideration that their GPU lineup also has XT in its name. But we are going to have three different SKUs, which are the 3900 XT, 3800 XT, and 3600 XT. As far as we know, and what we know is obviously all unofficial at this point, they are supposed to be announced somewhere in the mid-June. I've seen the date of 16 floating around, however, again, grain of salt. And they are supposed to be launching on July 7, kind of a one-year anniversary edition of the original Zen 2 launch. It's not known if they're going to be limited editions or if production will continue, so again, we have to wait for more information from AMD once more. And some benchmarks have been surfacing as well in terms of their performance and their actual spec list. Spec lists that we have seen so far, they all agree in one thing: they are featuring the same amount of cores and threads as their predecessors, so no core count bump or anything like that. TDP should remain the same, and what really changes are the frequencies. We are looking at 2 to 300 increase in the base clock and around the 200 increase on the boost clock, so that's pretty decent for just a refresh, kind of a mid-tier refresh, I'd call it, that's meant to kind of put some pressure on Intel's lineup. We're going to have the 3900 XT boosting to 4.8 gigs supposedly. I've seen some benchmarks where it only hit 4.7, but there are a lot of unknowns like thermals and offsets and all that sort of thing. So plus, not even sure if those benchmarks are real at this point, so again, take it all with a grain of salt, but it is supposed to all be 2 to 300 megahertz bumps on the base and boost clock. As far as how much that actually matters in terms of performance, again, keep in mind this could be fake benchmarks or something, so grain of salt once again. It does see the Zen lineup, the refreshed Zen lineup, pull ahead of Intel in terms of direct comparison of comparable products in single core. Multi-core, not even worth discussing because AMD was already beating Intel there. In single core now they seem to pull ahead with this refresh if it does pan out. So you see the 3900 XT pulling ahead of the 10900K, the 3800 XT pulling ahead of, well, everything except the 10900K. And yeah, that seems to be kind of the death blow for this generation of Intel products. It was already a tough sell, and if this pans out, I don't see a reason for anyone to really buy Intel at this point. Once more, reminding everyone that this is all unconfirmed information, but it's always fun to speculate and kind of wonder about the products that we're going to be getting in the next few months, I suppose. So these are compatible with the B450 and B550 generation, supposedly also with 350, because officially there's Zen 2. It's a refreshed Zen 2, but it's officially Zen 2, so kind of curious how that is going to pan out. There has been no actual mentions of that, but they are going to be, in any case, definitely compatible with 450 and 550 chipsets, and 70 obviously. So if you are, for example, on a 2600X or 3600 or something like that, there is a very clear upgrade path for you, while with Intel we all know how that goes, and I'm not really going to go there, but what this means is that AMD has Zen 3 lined up for the end of the year, supposedly still in 2020, and even now they already are ahead of Intel, if this is true. So if they're going to be releasing an even better generation at the end of the year with the gains that we've been hearing about, then Intel is really kind of for a world of pain in terms of the DIY sector. We'll have to wait another 2 weeks roughly to see if there actually is an announcement, if there's an actual truth to this. But a lot of people in the tech circles are taking this leak seriously, even people that don't normally comment on that. So I think there might be some grain of truth here. The one criticism that I have on this is the naming. Naming your CPUs XT when their GPUs are also named XT kind of leaves some room for, if the naming goes forward, to create some problems. Let's say that 2 generations from now, when we are on, let's call it Zen 4, and the 500 line of CPUs comes out, you are going to have, let's call it 5700X, kind of the direct successor of the 3700X that we have currently. And if they release a refresh like that, they can't call it 5700 XT, because that's the name of the GPU card that we have right now. So kind of wonder how they're gonna kind of go through that. Intel seems to have been busy refreshing their box coolers, which sorely needed some improvement. They gave it a blacked out design for a bit of better aesthetics, and they improved the quantity of heat that they can actually dissipate. So the old cooler was rated at least for 65 watts, and this one is for 80 watts, which is still less than higher end chips, and they are not even offered with the K series. But they are offered with, for example, the 10900 non-K, and it probably won't really be enough to keep that chip cool. But for people with 1070s, 1060s, well, 10700, 10600, these numbers are quite a pain in the butt, I might add, to actually roll off the tongue every time that I try to mention them. It might be somewhat sufficient if you really don't want to spend extra on a cooler. However, I would still definitely advise to get a better cooler than this, but it's good to see them put up an effort, and it is hopefully a step to providing boxed coolers with every CPU. Asus has somewhat enabled overclocking on a few B460 and H470 motherboards, not to be confused with full-on overclocking that you need a K-series processor and a Z-series motherboard to actually overclock, but they have enabled a few features that kind of somewhat increase performance even if you don't have an overclockable Intel motherboard. They are enabling Asus performance enhancement with the acronym APE, good one, I suppose. And what it effectively does is it will remove the power limits from the motherboard to your CPU. So for example, a 65 watt CPU will be able to draw as much as 125 watts according to the example that they have here. Obviously cooling would have to be adequate to actually account for that, but it would be possible to do that with their update. There are a total of 11 different motherboards that will support this feature. They are listed here if you are interested in knowing which one they are, and these are the power limits that they will give to the CPUs. Most of them are 125 watt power limit, with the exception of the B460F. A little bit on the gaming side of things before departing into the more unreliable leaks that we've heard about this week. World of Warcraft is going to get a stream event on July the 9th. Game director Neon Hazikostas and executive producer John Haidt will be hosting a stream. They're going to be doing it from their own homes, obviously, in the whole situation that we are still in. And it's supposed to be sort of an announcement and a look at the next expansion that is supposed to be launching still this year, although there is no set date for it yet. And if you are the kind of person that follows World of Warcraft or even plays it, then it is a good opportunity to see how the development is coming along and what kind of features we can expect. Another gaming news that are somewhat a little bit more on the leaky side. Sony is supposedly planning a PS5 conference for next week. The event should be on June 3. However, the date may change according to this information, and it has not really been officially announced by Sony, and an official Sony spokesperson declined to comment on the veracity of this information, so not really completely confirmed. While I do believe Sony might have an event of this type to announce some of the games and showcase stuff, considering Xbox X is doing that and Sony hasn't really done a whole lot. I do find it a bit strange that we are so close to June 3rd and there has been no official announcement, no official planning that the stream is even going to happen. So if you don't announce that there's going to be a virtual event, then who's going to watch it anyway? So either the date doesn't match up or this might be kind of faulty information. GTA 6 is a game that has been long awaited by fans of the GTA 5 series. It is a game that has stood the test of time, and a lot of people still play this game, GTA 5 that is. And we might now have a few hints to when GTA 6 is actually going to launch. This is all unconfirmed, and again, these are only hints, and it could easily be something else. But what this article goes to detail is that with a game like this, the publisher, in this case Take-Two, would want to advertise it quite massively. And with this in mind, taking a look at the budget expectations that they have published for the next few years, you see that in the period between April 21, 2033 and March 31, 2024, they are going to be having more than double the market budget of any other year so far. So this kind of tells you that there is probably going to be something that they really want to advertise at that point in time, and people are taking a leap that it probably will be something like GTA 6. Now, while I do see the leap in logic, and I do agree that it kind of somewhat makes sense, we have heard literally nothing from GTA 6 so far, so going from there to already expecting a launch window, I would assume that we would have heard something that it was in development, that it was expected around this or that time, but now all of a sudden it's information popping up. I do agree that it does make sense. I wouldn't already take it for granted. Moving on to more unconfirmed and a bit, well, I'll just call it unreliable because I don't see this as very reliable. Not very detailed information either, it's just a bunch of names thrown together. But this article on Hot Hardware seems to reveal that AMD is going to have refresh, let's say, for their video cards, as well as new Navi 10 cards coming in featuring RDNA 2 for the PC. Now, their latest information is that there are going to be 4 variants for the PC, and the Navi 21, which is going to be the, let's call it RDNA 2 upgrades, the cards that we are expecting to replace and upgrade the cards that we have now, are going to be XTX, XT, XL, and XE, which I do hope these are just code names and not the actual naming scheme. I much rather they stay to the numerical naming scheme that they have now, like for example superseding the 5700 XT with the 6700 XT, but we'll see how they actually do it. In any case, they will have 4 variants for the PC gaming market, and they will be having other refreshes. In this case, 3 are listed on this leak: the Navi 10 XT Plus, XM Plus, and XTE Plus, which are supposed to be more refreshes of the existing cards occupying the same or lower price point and supposedly giving a little bit of a performance boost. There are no details offered for this refresh lineup, and for the new lineup of Navi 21, aka Big Navi as people have been calling it for ages, they are supposed to feature up to 8 ECUs with 5120 streaming processors, die size of 505mm squared, and 50% better performance per watt according to this leak, which, like I said, offers no sources and we have no reason to trust, really. Now, these have been the bulk of the news for the week, the most important stuff. It's all a bit vague this time around. There are not a lot of confirmed facts, and it is kind of an exciting thing to see from the AMD, this refresh lineup, especially if they are finally going to take the single core crown from Intel. It's something that I'm kind of looking forward to. We've a lot, not just me, but a lot of people in the tech circles have kind of been rallying behind AMD because they were kind of the underdog for a long while. And a lot of people might confuse that with shilling or fanboying or something like that. It's more of a case that the market was so stagnant for so long that seeing it shaken up a bit kind of makes you want to support the ones shaking it up, at least for a while, so that hopefully that will create some more competition, that competitive atmosphere will stay and bring all of us a bit better prices and better performance. So far it has been going like that, so pretty happy with that, and I will gladly see Intel struggle a little bit if that means that they will come back and actually put up a fight and level the playing field for the benefit of us all. So let's see how that actually works out, and I'll keep covering the news as they come and go. Hit the subscribe button if you are not already. That's what's going to allow us in the future to actually do testing on products like that, and I'd love nothing more than do that for you guys and improve the general quality of the videos as well. So hit the subscribe button, drop a like, a few comments, help the videos gain some visibility. This has been ETIC PC Guy, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and have fun in the meantime.